You ready for it now?
Oh, yeah, are we ready online?
Yeah, I think so. Well, it's gone now again. Keeps going back and forth.
And then online, they'll just.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Oh, no, that's us. Oh, there are people there too.
Yeah, we have people on there too. Yeah, sorry. Good.
So the only problem is you can have that up and you won't be able to see the control.
So the recording is starting, guys, all ready?
Oh,
Deb, are we ready to go?
he can, well, we're still trying to figure it out. But I can click around in there too,
Okay.
right? Okay. Yes, we are.
Wait,
We're ready.
did she say, is that
We're
a
ready.
thumbs up?
Yep, thumbs up.
Okay. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties. Good evening, everyone. Thank you folks for showing up in person. Appreciate it. We are here for the fireworks ordinance second public hearing. That's Thursday, no, yeah, it's Thursday, May 28th, 2026, 6 p.m. I'm not gonna say you can join virtually because you're already here. We are on the radio. If you are online, you should be able to log in, turn the video on for that. Closed captioning translation option available for recorded videos at YouTube. Just check out Tillamook County YouTube, and more detailed meeting instructions are available at tillamookcounty.gov BOCC page. Phone number is 842-1814. Send an email to helpdesk@tillamookcounty.gov for any meeting technical issues. This was a weird script, so I'm going to change it over to this one. This is a proposed ordinance for fireworks and declaring an emergency. It's a public hearing number 2. This is the Joshua Brown will be presenting. Sheriff Brown, would you mind presenting?
Are you ready?
Yep.
Are we still online?
We are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Bring it away.
It's an odd thing.
Okay.
I can see it, but you guys can't see them.
Well, good evening, everybody. Commissioners, thank you all for being here in person and those that are online. It's great to see everybody taking a part in local government. I think that's an important thing. So this fireworks ordinance, it did come at my request. I worked with county council over the course of some time to draft it and make sure that it was written out intelligently and feasibly and had the ability to work. Essentially what we did is we took the current state statute and mirrored it identical in this, except for the penalty. So everything that we have been able to enforce as a law enforcement agency in the state of Oregon is now in this ordinance, and we're able to enforce the same thing. Which fireworks are illegal, which fireworks are legal, where you can do them, all of that type of stuff. It mirrors state law exactly, except for the penalty. We reduced the penalty from a misdemeanor down to a violation. Misdemeanor is an arrestable offense. Sheriff's office deputies, when you arrest somebody or cite and release somebody for a crime, they have to write a report. There's a lot more paperwork that goes with it. It gets forwarded to the DA. The district attorney considers it and then charges it in circuit court. And if a person is found guilty, they're convicted of a crime. I chose to, or push towards creating it as a violation for a couple of reasons. One, I think if somebody lights off a mortar right in front of a cop and they get in trouble for it, going to jail or being treated or, getting charged with a crime seems a little extreme to me. Additionally, when you write it as a violation, the workload on the back end to be able to process it is much quicker, more efficient, and easier for deputies, allowing us to move bound and get to higher priority emergency calls as needed. So that's the drive behind that and the reason why. The reason that I asked for a declaration of emergency is so that it goes into effect right away. This is not necessarily saying we have an emergency, but what is coming around the corner is 4th of July weekend. I did pull some stats for the first public hearing, and our call volume, I ran some stats from 2018 through 2025. In 2018 and 2019, the sheriff's office only dealt with 40 to 43 fireworks related calls. By the time we get into 24 and 25, we're well over 100 calls a year. I apologize, it's for a year. Then I took those numbers and I looked in the month of July, which of course is 4th of July. And what I found is that in 2018 and 19, more than 50% of the calls that we get in the entire year are in the month of July alone. As we get higher up and get closer, 2023 is 80% of our fireworks calls are in the month of July, 68 in 2024, and 73% last year were in the month of July. So the vast majority of our fireworks related calls come in the month of July. So it is very important for us to be able to utilize this new tool that the sheriff's office is or the commissioners will hopefully consider as soon as possible, meaning the month of July when fireworks hit. We're looking at a significant year of tourism and issues that may come because 4th of July is on a Saturday this year. Gas prices are through the roof, so people are not going to be traveling long distances. So we are going to have a massive amount of people in Tillamook County. Memorial weekend was evidence that that's very true because Tillamook County over Memorial weekend was chaos. So the need to be able to use this is pretty important, and the need to be able to do it right away is equally as important. That's why I asked for the emergency clause. It is a standard process that governments use in order to be able to put it into effect right away. And again, I asked for it. So a couple of things that this ordinance, just some factual information. This ordinance is not a total ban. This does not ban fireworks entirely in Tillamook County. I understand there are some counties in Oregon that have done that. That is not what this is. Like I said, it mirrors state law, which does allow for consumer fireworks. This does not eliminate our ability to enforce state law. The example I give is if a deputy gets a complaint about fireworks or they're driving down the road and somebody lights off a mortar right in front of them, we can treat that as a violation. It's more of a simple offense. We can treat it as a violation. But if we go down to Pacific City and somebody's selling, illegal fireworks out of their van, we still have the ability to treat it as a crime. We still can enforce both. Excuse me. Counties are allowed to create ordinances. They're not allowed to increase the penalty or make them more severe. So we would only be able to have it be equal, which would, be maintaining the misdemeanor level or lowering it down to the citation of violation level. As I said, I have reasons for requesting it at a violation level. Another fact about this is that this is a county ordinance and it's applicable in incorporated portions of our county. So City of Manzanita, City of Tillamook, City of Rockaway Beach, this would not be applicable or usable in those cities unless those cities signed on to this or adopted a similar ordinance. All unincorporated areas, Pacific City, Netarts, Nescoin, all of those areas, this would be enforceable in those areas. This does not change how we prioritize our calls. So emergency calls that come in for crashes or disturbances or fights or things of that nature, we still prioritize those higher. We're not going to use this as some sort of a tool to go hunt people down or anything. We just don't have the staffing to be able to do that while still handling and prioritizing our emergency calls. And that weekend is going to be a lot of emergency calls. I'm certain of that. But this gives us that tool so that when we do get a call, if it's a major issue, we have the ability to go address it. We are able to seize the fireworks, have them destroyed through this ordinance, which again is the same thing that the ORS allows us to do. If we do, like I said, if we run into a situation where it's so bad that we feel the level needs to be treated as a misdemeanor, we still have the ability to either take somebody to jail or cite and release them for a crime and send it to the DA's office. I think that kind of covers most everything that I kind of wanted to talk about. I don't know that there's much more. I think I covered what it is and what it isn't. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate that. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and open up the public comment section of this public hearing. Brian, would you, as county council, tell us the rules for regarding public comment?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here and thank you for also being online. whether online or in person. If you wish to provide public comment, you would have needed to sign up beforehand. When you speak, please begin by stating your name, where in the county you reside, and who you represent if you're not speaking on your own behalf. Please limit your comments to 2 minutes and keep them related to the matter currently before the board. And please also direct your comments only to the board and not to other county personnel or those who. Lastly, it would be helpful if you could state whether you are for, neutral, or against the matter on which you will speak. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I'm going to read off the list. Palm,
I'm here with the Neskowin Citizen Advisory Committee, but I'm also going to speak briefly personally. Our understanding is you are going to have Nancy Vandell, our chair, read our position statement. I see she's here virtually, so you might want to start with her.
you want to start with her online? That's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Yes.
Okay. Deb, can you ask Nancy or can you? Nancy, if you're online, are you prepared to read your statement? That'd be great if you could provide your name, your community, and the statement and who you're reading on behalf of.
Good evening. Yes, thank you. Dear members of the Tillamook County Board of Commissioners, my name is Nancy Vandell, and I am the chairperson of the Neskowin Citizen Advisory Committee, otherwise known as the NCAC. We appreciate the opportunity to comment on the proposed Tillamook County Fireworks Ordinance. The NCAC has taken significant time and effort to consider, discuss, and agree on our position with a team formed by Wyatt Angelo, Tom Prahadich, Tom Sipe, and myself. And we are all here virtually or in person tonight. The position statement I am about to read, which was provided to you along with the cover letter earlier this week, was approved unanimously at a special executive board meeting on May 20th, and the membership approved the document overwhelmingly at a special membership meeting this past Saturday. As you might imagine, this is a topic of great concern to our members, and we expect continuing dialogue over the coming year. So now to the position statement. The NCAC takes no position concerning all but one section of the proposed ordinance. In Oregon, certain fireworks are legal and can be used without a permit from the Oregon State Fire Marshal, e.g. certain consumer fireworks such as flitter, sparklers, fountains, smoke devices, ground spinners, wheels, and novelty devices. Other fireworks are illegal unless authorized by a limited valid permit from the State Fire Marshal, and only after an applicant demonstrates the ability to follow permitting procedures requiring significant public protections. And I'm not going to read the list, it's in the position statement. Although it could be clearer, Section 6 of the proposed ordinance regarding fireworks prohibition does not reduce the state restrictions regarding permissible fireworks, as it cannot, and thus is consistent with Oregon law. However, with all due respect to the arguments advanced by those in favor of Section 7 of the proposed ordinance regarding penalties, we have this bold-faced. The NCAC does not support Section 7's reduction of penalties for illegal, non-permitted fireworks because it is inconsistent with Oregon law and regulations regarding criminal and civil penalties for fireworks violations, and as a result, reduces the deterrent effect of such penalties. In addition, the NCAC also requests that the commissioners consider adopting or amending the proposed fireworks ordinance to include, among other things, specific language regarding the culpability of adults when children under their care violate the ordinance, regulations for curfews of dates and times for which legal fireworks may occur, and additional provisions described in the cover letter to this position statement dated May 23rd, 2026. The NCAC's reasoning and concerns are set forth below. Excuse me, did someone have a comment? Okay, I was told in advance that we could read the entire position statement. Is that correct?
That's fine.
So thank you. So reasons and concerns, the biggest one is enforcement. Currently, there is no observable enforcement in Neskowin of the Oregon fireworks statute. The NCAC sees no benefit to the county creating a competing regulatory layer with lesser penalties and remedies, and even less likelihood of having a deterrent effect than that provided by the aforementioned Oregon law and regulations. A meaningful law enforcement response for fireworks violations in Neskowin has been absent. The numerous illegal, non-permitted discharge of fireworks during successive weeks in the summer, yearly holidays, and other times are a continuing problem. The lack of enforcement of illegal, non-permitted fireworks in Neskowin is only the tip of the iceberg to the larger problems of law enforcement's distance from Neskowin and the attendant response times by all local and state agencies, with the responsibility and powers to enforce the existing law. However, some of these problems appear to be a matter of Tillamook County and state policy in the allocation of resources to the South County area, including Nesquin, even in situations emergently hazardous. In the future, the NCAC looks forward to working with all responsible agencies to assist where it can in correcting these problems. The scope of the problem, Nesquin is a beachfront destination that attracts many visitors over the holidays, some of whom bring unregulated fireworks. In addition, a culture of illegal fireworks, often combined with alcohol, exists and has grown through the decades. Some NCAC members, and even those who normally enjoy permitted fireworks, describe feeling like they are in a war zone with the smoke and the noise. And we're right next to a national forest, so fire danger is very concerning. Many NCAC members have voiced concerns about the detrimental effects of unregulated fireworks on wildlife, pets, veterans of war, and neurodivergent people. Fireworks impede the peaceful enjoyment of property and risk habitat degradation and fire. Non-permitted fireworks are often set off in fire-prone areas, are excessively loud, and continue well into the early morning hours. No curfews exist for currently legal fireworks. Because of the long history, many people are unaware that their activities are illegal. Signs that inform of the laws and penalties regarding fireworks have been placed in the past, only to have been torn down, sometimes burned even. Children are often setting off illegal fireworks without adequate supervision. Although some people responsibly clean up the resulting debris, many do not, and the beach and the streets are full of the remnants of the celebration in the morning. Potential legal and other practical issues. The penalties of the proposed ordinance for illegal, non-permitted fireworks displays substantially decreases the deterrent effects of those penalties already set by Oregon law. ORS 480.111 to 480.165 as administered by the State Fire Marshal, OAR 837-012-0700 to 837-012-0970. Those rules and regulations implementing the standards, policies, and procedures for fireworks displays in Oregon. The legislature's fireworks ordinance makes the state fire marshal not only responsible for all rules granting permits for supervised public fireworks displays of any person, organizations, or groups of individuals, but also mandates that the state fire marshal will adopt rules for granting such permits. ORS 480-1201B and 480-150. Such rules have been adopted. COAR 837-012-0700 to 837-012-0970. This regulatory regime provides for criminal penalties as follows. 3, violations of any provision of ORS 480.111 through 480-160 is a Class B misdemeanor.
Nancy,
Yes,
can I ask you to leave out the explicit ordinances? I provided you more time because you had a list of residents that were going to speak for 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. I thought this would be faster, but we have the document, and I think for brevity, I would appreciate if we could just get to the crux of what you guys are trying to say, please, because it's going on a lot longer than I thought it was going to go.
Okay, I appreciate that, sir. I will try to do that here. So violation is a Class B misdemeanor, and justice and district courts have concurrent jurisdiction with the circuit courts in all proceedings. The sentence for the Class B misdemeanor is set forth as a maximum of 6 months imprisonment. And the sentence to pay for a fine for a Class B misdemeanor is set forth with a maximum fine of $2,500. So additional, there's a word for this, but I'll just go on. Assume the laws are being read. Also provide for additional civil penalties or remedies for Oregon fireworks violations, including a maximum civil penalty of $500 per violation, confiscation and or destruction of illegal fireworks, substantial parental liability for damages caused by children and incurred by a public fire agency in suppressing fires from violations and other damages. We're suggesting that the Board of Commissioners assure itself in considering the adoption of the proposed ordinance that the ordinance is not in contravention of Oregon law regarding penalties and damages associated with fireworks violations. In addition, although the NCAC is sympathetic with the concerns regarding the enforcement limitations of the current fireworks ordinance, The NCAC hopes and expects that the impediments and obstacles to enforcement can be overcome in the future. In not supporting Section 7 of the proposed ordinance regarding penalties, the NCAC simply does not want to waive or limit any rights it currently has or will have in the future, to argue that enforcement must be upgraded and properly administered with the appropriate deterrent effect as envisioned by Oregon law and regulations. County law enforcement officials and departments constitute only one jurisdictional part of those government actors and agencies in Oregon that collectively have responsibility for enforcing Oregon fireworks law and regulations. Under current law and regulations, others include the state police, the rural fire district, the state parks and recreation department, the county courts, and ultimately, and most importantly, the state fire marshal. The NCAC hopes that any and all of these agencies and offices will step up in the future to properly enforce Oregon fireworks laws and regulations in Nesquin. The NCAC intends to assist in this effort. Conclusion: should the Board of Commissioners desire the NCAC to provide additional information or remedial suggestions, an NCAC town hall attended by all those involved and affected can be easily facilitated. And we just thank you so much for allowing the time and for the consideration of these matters. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Tom, would you mind coming up here and sitting in?
Sit here.
Yeah, in the comfy chair. The sheriff races they give up.
Try to do it in a minute.
Your name and new
I'm
location.
sorry. I'm Tom Perhotich. I live in Nesquin. My position is consistent with the NCAC's position. I largely wrote the section on legal considerations. The fire chief in our district came to Nesquin and addressed a community meeting this last Sunday. And among other things, he said that he is extremely concerned about wildfires this year, that this is going to be an El Nino fire season, and that that's consistent with state and federal climatologist predictions about what will happen. And he said what he's most concerned about is a fire beginning somewhere above Cape Kiwanda that could not be stopped until it reached the ocean. So as the problem is worsening, our concern is you're decreasing the deterrent effect if you adopt this ordinance. A fine of $50 to $500 with a presumptive fine of $165 is not a deterrent to the people that spend thousands and tens of thousands of dollars on fireworks in Nesquin that are fired from the Cascade Head on the South Beach to the North Beach. The second point is that I really don't. I'm not a lay person. I'm not an Oregon lawyer, but I am a lawyer, and I was a political science professor that studied law and taught law, and I've been doing that for over 50 years. Someone's going to have to tell me how it's possible that this ordinance is not null and void as a result of the state preemption doctrine. I've read the Oregon fireworks statute. I've read the fire marshal's administrative rules. I've read the misdemeanor statute. I've read the violation statute. And I don't see anywhere in those things, in those authorities, a authority to decrease the penalty. But I'm not an Oregon lawyer. I'm a Texas lawyer, recently retired, and maybe there's something in the case law and the law. And so the way I framed it was I would be sure that it's not preempted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Let's just get the folks that are here. I appreciate you coming in person. So Jackie Hinton.
Actually, I'm going to ask if David Boone, who's going to cover part of the concerns of our community, could speak first.
Sure.
We keep altering. Sorry, I'm managing
I get
the
to
room.
find out the issues. Yeah.
Thank you.
You try to keep the 2 minutes.
What I submitted, comments. So, my name is David Boone. I'm a resident of Neotani. I'm also president of the
Board of Commissioners of the Neocon Water District. In my comments, written comments, I address concerns about debris from the fireworks, noise, etc. But what I want to focus on in my comments are really public safety. Our water district, we have storage capacity of about 280,000 gallons. We maintain a 60,000 gallon fire reserve. However, a few years ago, there was a house fire because of a campfire that was left unattended on the beach, came up, engaged 2 houses, basically almost exhausted the full supply of the water in our district. So if we have a major fire, we have an issue of not having enough water to fight it. And we also have the issue that the ability to get out of Neocon is very limited. And in fact, where those houses were engaged, it would have basically blocked a significant part of the community from being able to get out if it had spread to, other parts. So the idea that we're going to have fireworks, an ignition source, in the kind of situation we're talking about, the El Nino and dry season coming up is, exceedingly dangerous in my view. Also, anything that can be done, whether this ordinance will do it or not, that can decrease the use of illegal fireworks is very supported in our community, I think. Because what we see on the fire, it certainly occurs heavily in July, but we see it all the way through Labor Day. People shooting off fireworks. Usually they start, the later it gets in the year, the later they start shooting. So anyway, so thank you very much. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if we can use a microphone, please, and like this phone mic.
Okay. Would you like to come up, please?
Thank you.
State your name and also please turn the microphone, I think.
Yeah. I have a little show and tell.
You have to use that, sorry. Do we have to use it as well, or are they hearing us?
Yes, please.
Chair Brown, thank you very much for your time today and the opportunity to speak. My name is Jackie Hinton. I'm a Neocon resident, and I serve as the chair of the Neocon CAC. There's not just Nescoin voice, there's widespread deep concern in our community about the increasing use of illegal fireworks. This includes negative impact on the livability and the environment, debris that goes into the ocean, and the impacts on our pets and wildlife. But there's an increasing concern as we experience the drier summers and the increased local water usage during the summer months. We've had events engage in some water restrictions last year because we didn't have fear that we would have adequate water throughout the summer. So if there's a fire, that is not only an issue from our water standpoint and the damage to property and risk to life, we have very limited egress in the economy. A significant part of the community is severely limited. And if the beach, and most of that is on the beachfront road. So our egress is, we have to use that road. If there's a fire from the beach, started from the beach, that impacts all of us and we forget track. So the community takes it very seriously. And our concern with the that's proposed is that it conveys a decrease in the seriousness of illegal fireworks use poses. And I understand and appreciate the workforce limitations of the county. And that's that's experienced by our local police departments in our local cities here as well. So isn't the silver bullet for all this, but it is a piece, and penalties do convey a message to people as far as the seriousness of the offense. And what's being proposed, I think, does raise questions about that. All that said, I do, when our community wants to help work through some alternative approaches to try to address the problem, because we know there's not enough manpower for the county to resolve the issue. It will be a continuing issue, but increase in numbers, if we don't address it, it will be a problem at some point that could risk property and life. So okay, with our neighboring cities, folks. It's
Thank you so much.
Jackie.
Okay, that's all we have in the room. Debbie, you have anything online?
There are two gentlemen online that want to speak.
Okay, who-
Mr. Steep and Mr. Angelo, I believe.
This is Steve, would you like to go? I can't see that screen. Steve, okay. Tom, would you like to go?
Can't hear him.
You're muted, sir.
Look for it in the wrong place, sorry. Yes, I have a little bit different take on it. My name is Tom Sipe. I live in Nescoin. I support the document that you've been given from us to address the fireworks. I helped edit that document, but more importantly, I am the editor of the update to the Nescoin Community Plan. In our process of updating our decades-old community plan, the Nescoin CAC held a series of town hall style meetings to gather inputs on our community's vision and values. Although initially not on the list of topics to be considered, the subject of fireworks was raised, and it generated a lot of heat and light. The heat was the passion of the participants. The light was the relative size of the groups who voiced an opinion. As you might guess, there were three camps. Those who wanted a total ban on fireworks, large majority of the participants. Those who were happy with the current legal restrictions, a sizable minority. And those who wanted reduced restrictions, a tiny minority. The overall concern was safety. As you know, Nesquin is enveloped in forest and the danger of wildfire is present and immediate. Possible injury to bystanders and children was another safety issue. Pollution of land, streams, and ocean was a longer-term concern. The proposed ordinance reduces the severity of punishment for the violation of current fireworks laws. This sends the wrong message. The message that it sends is it is now less of a concern that the Nesquin community could be damaged, destroyed, or its citizens harmed. The Nesquin CAC asks the commissioners not to reduce the perceived importance of keeping Nesquin safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, Deborah. If you'd like to make a comment, I think he's having audio issues. Maybe you message it, or you buy a message.
If you can hear us, sir, we can hear us, sir, we can hear you.
I don't think he's talking. If you have his cell phone number, you can text him.
I do.
I don't know that he's helping and he's muted or not speaking.
I've chatted him. I don't know if he's looking.
Okay, we'll give him a few minutes. We'll give him a few minutes to see if he can try. Is he the last one?
Yes.
Okay, let's give him an opportunity.
Maybe I could help. This is Nancy Vandell again. I think what he was going to talk about was the concern about changing from, he's a criminal attorney, former federal prosecutor for the western half of Colorado, and he was going to talk about the concern about reducing from a felony to a misdemeanor, which is what the proposed ordinance does. And so I'm afraid he could say that very articulately about what that means. But
I am
basically
here
what-
if
Oh, there you are. Oh, good.
Yeah. It's very difficult to hear the county commissioners at this point, but I am certainly here if you're ready.
Yeah, they've been waiting for you. What?
My apologies. My name is Wyatt Angelo. I live in Nesquin. I'm the chairman of the NCAC Bylaws Committee, as well as a 25-year practitioner in the criminal justice system as a prosecutor. I can tell you right now that my sympathies are always with the sheriff. Because I know how stressful it is with resources that are allocated to law enforcement sometimes. But in this case, I think that taking action on this is premature and maybe ill-advised. The sheriff stated that the fireworks in the as charged as misdemeanors or arrested as misdemeanors in the past have always been reduced by the district attorney's office, which seems to be a matter of policy. The inference is that the proposed ordinance is merely a recognition of that reality. I confirmed that with the clerk of the Tillamook County Courts today or yesterday, who indicated that she had never seen a misdemeanor fireworks case filed in the courts in her 15 years of experience. There are two important considerations here from my standpoint. The first is that if there is a reduction to a civil violation is already an option for a fireworks violation, there doesn't seem to be any compelling reason to go ahead and reduce the counties or the state penalties by adopting a county ordinance. I would likewise warn you that the deputies always have the option of issuing a warning without an arrest, which is what the sheriff was alluding to earlier about the non-necessity of arrest due to violations. A warning can be issued with the seizure of the unlawful fireworks without the necessity of an arrest if that's what the deputy believes is an appropriate remedy. Secondly, as a former district attorney, albeit in Colorado, I can tell you that district attorney policies are always subject to the necessity of rapid change to meet changing circumstances. Ordinances are not so easily changed. I can also state that fireworks violations which result in catastrophic loss, as happened in Otis in 2020, would cause an immediate policy change in the district attorney's office. And you probably know that Nesquin is particularly susceptible to fireworks cause catastrophe. There exist legal and practical pitfalls to the adoption of an ordinance which reduces the violations to a penalty, which don't seem to have been considered in the perceived need for haste here. Not the least of which is those that a misdemeanor charge, which would be filed, gives the court the potential to order restitution, which is an automatic judgment in the state of Oregon, as it is in most cases, on behalf of the person hurt by the criminal conduct. That will not be the case with your ordinance. The district attorney can continue to apply its reduction policy while this matter is considered as a whole over a period of time with more input from the parties that have stakes in this matter. So I would ask the county to not adopt this as an emergency ordinance, because I don't see an emergency here, with all the other options open to the district attorney and to the sheriff to continue its current practices without the necessity of arrests and without the necessity of a criminal prosecution in the event that that's warranted, until such time as further discussion could be had. So let's all get together and talk about it, for goodness sake, rather than trying to rush into something that may be ill-advised and maybe have pitfalls like preemption, may have pitfalls like restitution for people, and that would in fact create an impediment to people being made whole as part of the criminal justice system. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, well, that will conclude the public comment portion of this. Josh, Sheriff, if you don't mind coming back up here, because we're probably gonna have some questions for you. I'm gonna close the public hearing.
Josh, can you use the mic?
Okay. So we can start deliberating and ask questions. Where do you want to like to go first?
Debbie, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds good to me.
To regulate fireworks and their jurisdictions. It is before the Board of Commissioners continues to ban illegal fireworks. This is what state law does, and allows the legal fireworks. The penalties, instead of it being criminal, is civil penalties, fines. And as Sheriff Brown had indicated, so now that law enforcement within the county, a violation, I think it's a Class B violation, up to $500. Or if they think it's more criminal, I can charge under the state statute. As an example, Just last month, right, the city of Seaside just updated their city ordinance. And instead of criminal penalties, they decided to go with civil penalties and increase them. Because they too, the reasoning was that this behavior, some of it is not criminal, but yet they still wanted to address the fireworks, that whether it's illegal or it's outside the time frame. That's a recent example where you have a local municipality just right up the coast. Civil penalties, in step civil penalties, for sure. So, does that answer your question?
I'll wait for it. That's a great question, and I did hear some of it from people in the crowd about deterrent. I heard that quite a bit. And I would like to speak to that, so I appreciate the question. Long-winded, but right now, without this ordinance being able to cite something as a violation, if we went up and we dealt with somebody that had fireworks, we would have to treat it as a crime. You'd have to take notes, witnesses, things of that nature, go back to the office, write a full report, enter all the evidence into the system, have it forwarded to the DA's office, get it approved by their supervisor. All those steps have to be made. Now, that doesn't sound like it's terribly cumbersome, but when you do it over and over and over, 10 times a shift, it becomes very, very cumbersome. When you write a violation, you write the citation, you make a short paragraph notes that you are able to read off of in justice court if it ever goes to a justice court trial. And DAs don't even get involved in violations. The reality is we could probably write 4 citations for fireworks to every 1 criminal citation. So we can actually be far more productive if we had the situation where we were doing that. I did hear one gentleman online, or the last one that spoke, I forget his name, I apologize. He mentioned, being able to get restitution. If somebody gets hurt from a firework, we are not citing a violation. We are treating it as a crime, because not only is it the illegal firework, but you've hurt somebody, or there's an additional crime that goes with that. So, arrested, if you had a firework and it hits a house and catches a house on fire, there's additional crimes that go with it. So, restitution will always be a part of it. Violation is going to be treated as somebody on the street or somebody on the beach lighting off a firework to go straight up in the air, and we're going to write that violation. As far as being a deterrent, the best way to describe this years of experience being a patrol deputy. I was in Sand Lake for 4 years, and then my main area of coverage was South County. I always went through Nescoin at least once per year, if not twice. My deputies have it. There's an expectation my deputies should be doing that still, and if they're not, I can talk with them and they can do that. However, when you get into a situation, you talk about deterrent. Pacific City is a perfect example of parking lot. Or if you go on, you drive on, or you park on Cape Canaveral illegally. We can go along, we can write those parking tickets. If we want to send a message to people not to park there, the problem is that they pay that ticket, they move on, and they go back home into Portland or Vancouver, or wherever they go. The next weekend, you have a whole new slew of people that have no idea that you're writing tickets. So when you think of it as a deterrent, who are you deterring? The people that got the ticket? You're not deterring future people because you have a new round of people coming in each and every weekend. Additionally, and I think somebody even mentioned it, there's a lot of people that come down with fireworks and don't even realize that those fireworks are illegal, or they just don't care. So whether you charge them with the crime or whether you charge them with the violation, you know, they just charging them or doing something, taking some level of action from a cop is a deterrent in and of itself, because they don't even realize what level of punishment or penalty they may or may not have. So based on my experience, the deterrent part of it, I'm more concerned with being able to write tickets and get the fireworks off the street and do it quicker and safer. I share every bit of concern about fire danger. I share every bit of concern about the massive amount of fireworks that this community has. We have 75 miles of beach, and I have usually 5 deputies at most on in the afternoon into the evening. Speaking of deterrent and being able to write citations, we're offering up probably 12 different overtime shifts for Friday the 3rd and Saturday, July 4th, all up and down the county. We have issues in Neoconi Beach to Nescoin, and that's 60 miles apart. So to try to get coverage, we're offering that up. And I don't have enough deputies to cover 12 shifts plus the regular shifts. So I've already spoke to some sheriffs and said I may be reaching out to try to pull some of their deputies down to help do coverage, because I recognize the seriousness of it. Unfortunately, I don't know that we're going to have the ability to stop it. I got off track from your question. I apologize, but we are trying to make somewhat of an effort. So.
Go ahead. You're kicking off my questions. So
Okay, so I have a couple questions for you as well. Let's say it's like you get a ticket for federal.
Very, very slim. On a regular night, 2, sometimes 3. 5 on patrol, 6 in the jail.
Chair, Mr. Chair, they're having some problems hearing online. So he's checking. I just wanted to let you know.
You'll have it be old. Maybe you'll set me off from something else.
Is it possible to say anything? It's not, is it?
No, not this time, sorry. Did you have something else that may have popped up?
Before we,
Yeah.
I guess we're not supposed to use the mic now. Should pick it up. There's a problem with the microphone.
Okay, so I was invited by the undersheriff to Tillamook PD to observe a demonstration of a report writing program where the police officer was a sergeant from Tillamook PD had had an interaction with somebody the night before, and the body camera footage is fed into the program, and then the program produces the report. And so it was fascinating and very, very powerful. And we've been looking for ways to make to make work more efficient. And this was that. And there's something interesting about it was they had in what's something that's part of this program is deliberate nonsense. So the police have to read every line of the report that comes out and eliminate the nonsense. So you know that they're reading every word and every line. But my point in this is that the sergeant who was showing me this demonstration said, this particular report would have taken me at least 3 hours to write, at least 3 hours based on the length of the interview with the person in the field. And they talked to me about how it worked, the going back and forth between the body camera footage and writing the reports. And not everybody is great at writing reports. Some people are, some people are not. And it's the least popular part of the job is how much time people spend writing reports. And so I just got to see this demonstration recently and see what a powerful tool it is. And it does apply to this conversation tonight, because when the sheriff presented this idea, what I understood is that if they're encountering somebody using illegal fireworks and they're thinking about the time and the effort involved in going through that whole process to write a report for a crime, knowing that it's not going to go anywhere when it gets to the DA's office anyway, why would they do it? Whereas if they could use the same amount of time to write a half a dozen tickets, that the tickets are going to go to justice court and at least something's going to happen. So it made sense to me that way. And I appreciate that we're looking for tools that make people more effective, and they'll be able to spend more time on the beach addressing people. So I don't believe that this was about saying fireworks that we're less concerned, so we're offering a lesser consequence. I don't think that this was that at all. I think this was, we want to write more tickets and be more effective.
And seize more fireworks.
Seize more fireworks, thank you. So, but additionally, I am very grateful for all of your comments and for the many, many comments that we received by mail. And I agree with my colleagues that this is a huge issue. And I hope, I loved what you said, Jackie, about coming to the table to continue the conversation about how are communities going to protect themselves and how can we all partner in that? Is it more signage? We got some terrific public comments from people just asking for more signage, saying signage is effective, get us more signage. You know, we care deeply about the risk of fire. And I mean, that's, you know, I mean, it keeps people awake at night, the fire risk. And I have also heard Chief Ader talk about in the last Pacific City Woods Chamber of Commerce meeting where I was, he was talking about this being a year with more drought danger and more wildfire danger. And I think it's on everyone's mind. And, you know, so we care deeply about these issues. And I think that that this won't solve that, but it will have the law enforcement be more effective on the beach on that day. I think that's what it'll do.
Thank you for that. And I will say that we have got requests for more signs, and Public Works and the Sheriff are working on that as we speak. So
Great.
that is hopefully going to happen prior to the 4th of July if we can get them ordered fast enough. But Yeah, I thank you and I agree with everything you just said. I feel like I want to continue. I go to the Fire Defense Board meetings as well, and this is something that we should be talking about at those groups as well. And I honestly think it's something we need to be keeping an eye on as we approach the summer and it gets drier and drier and drier and we don't have rain. So I appreciate everybody's comments and everybody's everybody's opinion on this, because it's really forcing us to have these conversations that we need a bigger. This was not designed to fix the fireworks problem. This was designed, and correct me if I'm wrong, to fix the enforcement issue, the ability to do more enforcement with less efficiency. That's what, to me, this is about. So anyway.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's interesting as a county commissioner is that there are so many things that we work with and so many things that are in our purview that it's hard to figure out where are we looking, where are we focusing, what's the issue that's in front of us that's most crucial. And I would suggest that this conversation is surfacing, is fireworks an issue that is one of those issues? Is Tillamook County a fireworks hotspot for the state? Do we need to be thinking about the broader picture? Again, there's just so many things that come and go with us, but this centers that conversation. And Commissioner, I appreciate your thinking about the Fire Defense Board maybe being a place where that conversation could be centered. Sitting here, I was thinking if, we do pass this ordinance, getting a flyer put together and asking them to go out to short-term rentals so that when people check in, right there along with everything else that they get is something that says, by the way, these are the fireworks laws of, for Tillamook County. So I was thinking about that. I was thinking about, longer term, whether it's, and, we've been doing trail ambassadors at the beach and different places to try to help people understand how to love our community the way we love our community. And in a much broader approach, are there trail ambassadors that are at the beach entrances? There's some very specific areas where a lot of people go through that are just there informationally on the 4th of July saying, I see you have some fireworks. Are you aware what our fireworks laws are? I think there are things in a stewardship way, in a bigger way that we won't make for this year. It won't happen, but centering this conversation in a way that we do look at the problem overall, but I don't think I think getting this tool in play now is worthwhile and looking at the bigger problem.
Thank you. And I would also just reiterate that this does not replace the state statute. So as your elected sheriff, if he implements that, if this does get passed, he starts having his deputies start enforcing this, if he believes it's not doing what it intended to do, we don't have to revoke it. He can just be using state statute. It's just, this exists in a lot of things in our county. You can get a county ticket for parking, and you can get a state ticket for parking in the same parking spot. And they have different bail schedules attached to them. And there's a reason for that. Depending on the severity of the situation, as deputies, we used to use our discretion to use, just like we use in this point here, they will use their discretion on the scene. And so I really feel like, I do believe that this is going to, because I'm holding him to it, that this is going to increase confiscation and tickets being written for these fireworks, understanding that we still can't magically produce more deputies to be out there and enforce. So
you guys are giving me a lot of money for overtime for that weekend through TLT, and that's very appreciated. So
hopefully somebody will take it.
Well, we're going to have some that'll take it, but like I said, there's the shared. I'm not asking Lincoln County or Clatsop County because they're going to have their own chaos being coastal communities, but Columbia, Polk, Yamhill, Washington County, I've talked to those sheriffs and they will put the request out for any of their deputies that may have time off. So
excellent. Thank you for that.
How we coordinate that and get them to be able to talk on the radio and stuff may be a hiccup that we have to get over. But again, it's cops in Tillamook County. That's the big thing.
I'd like to just for a moment respond to what Brian's just said about the city of Seaside increasing the fine. Is that something you would like to talk about, consider?
I don't know whether it was increased from a lower fine and they just made it higher. I don't know the context of what the fine is.
I think it was $1,000 for the first occurrence. and then it goes up from there. They definitely wanted to be stiff. And this is, of course, a condition to state law.
What is the current citation for criminal site? What's the bail amount for that?
The criminal? Actually, I think it's a B misdemeanor, which I think is 3,000.
So 1,000 for the first violation, 3,000 for a repeat violation after warning, and then $5,000. That creates a substantial risk.
I would ask the sheriff what he thinks about that. It's not my ordinance.
I believe the city of Rockaway is 2,000 for their fine. My concern with that is that you start getting into the level of borderline cruel and unusual punishment. And I wonder if you're actually, because $2,000 or $5,000 for lighting off a mortar on your third offense, $5,000 fine, that I'm not, you know, you should have learned your lesson, sure. But I mean, if I light off one mortar and I get fined $1,000, that seems really harsh. I'd rather go to jail for a week than have to pay $1,000. And then I wonder and or have concern whether or not if somebody actually fought that and tried to file a suit and say you're too steep, because that's actually you know, then I don't know. I don't think that you know, the bail for a misdemeanor or the maximum fine for a B misdemeanor, I think is maximum fine, I think is 5,000. On a first offense, a judge is never going to fine a $5,000 fine, and they're never going to put somebody in jail for 6 months. They actually can't per the sentencing guidelines unless they have a history of it. Or there's another crime attached to it, like burning a house down or hurting somebody. So, but again, that's all speculation.
Well, and under the proposed ordinance, right, it's $500 is the maximum penalty. And right, if the situation would call for something more, then you have state statute.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, the range is.
Correct. I mean, it's this doesn't replace anything. This doesn't prohibit us from using both of those. If we come up to a place and you've got, you know, 10 people partying and they're drunk off their pants and they're lighting off fireworks like crazy, they're probably going to go to jail. Almost certainly. I mean, the deputies got to use their discretion. But if you got somebody in the middle of the street that are just lighting off a couple mortars here and there, it's appropriate for a violation. Or you go down to the beach and, you know, I mean, the beach, if it is a problem. I mean, if you haven't been to any of our beaches on the day leading up to or the day after and the day of 4th of July, obviously it's all summer. I recognize that. But surrounding 4th of July, our beaches are war zones. And it's Nescoin, it's Pacific City, it's Tierra Del Mar, it's Sand Lake, it's Netarts, it's Oceanside, it's Barview Jetty Park, all the way up to Neoconi. And I've got 2, maybe 3 deputies to patrol all those areas. And it is a war zone on every one of those beaches. It is absolutely a problem.
Which leads me to wonder if this is also a state conversation.
It could be.
So
We tried doing a kind of not an undercover operation, but similar to that, in the sense that we had plainclothes deputies walking.
Yeah.
Because what happens is when you're in a patrol vehicle and somebody lights a firework and they see your vehicle, all they do is tuck in. And if I can't identify who lit it, I don't have somebody to actually write the citation to. So, you know, most people leave when they see the cop truck. So if you have somebody walking in plainclothes, they can see them, identify them, radio a patrol unit. That patrol unit can come up and do it. So if I had enough people, I would have a plainclothes person with every deputy to be able to actually walk out and identify people, but I don't have enough people.
I just want to say, I think the question was, you decided on this bail schedule on mirroring the B violation, I believe? C. Is there any value, do you see value in if you raise that? Do you see, because I can tell you, like, no one wants to hear this, but 4th of July, you're a single deputy surrounded by 20 people that are drinking, lighting off fireworks. You write a $1,000 ticket and take all their fireworks. You better have backup close by. And so I think people don't think about the realities of the job. And the other thing that I'm just going to say it here, because you brought it up and you brought it up. The beaches are the jurisdiction of the state police. It is a public highway. The whole beach, the whole 365 miles is state police jurisdiction. But they don't have enough people either. And that's, so this is where most of the fireworks, not all of them, most are being lit like on the beach, near the water. Technically, that is their jurisdiction. If a murder happens on the beach, if a major crime happens on the beach, it's not the deputies that take the case, it's Oregon State Police. So that's a discussion too for the state is, we don't even have any fish and game people. Do we have any fish and game people left in this?
I think there's one right now.
So we used to have fish and game troops that would be working weekends and pickup trucks because patrol cars can't get on the beach. So they have equipment issues where we have state troopers. And they're also dealing with drunk drivers and problems in the city. So this is a bigger conversation. Is, I guess, is what we're figuring it out. And this doesn't take away anything that's currently happening. It just gives, in my opinion, more of a tool for your folks.
If the commission wanted to bump it to a B violation or a A violation, I'm more concerned with it being treated as a violation to where my deputies have the efficiency of being able to go through it quicker. I went with the C violation. B would probably be appropriate as well, but I thought that number was a more fair number for the situations and scenarios I can see our deputies writing the citation.
What's the presumptive fine for
I don't know.
I think it's 2 something now, isn't it?
I think presumptive for a B would be 265.
It's like it's in 265.
I've got it here.
If the board wanted to consider changing that component of that, is that something that can happen in this process at this point? Yes. People can't see your head nodding.
Do we have to go to another hearing because we've made a substantive change?
I think you would need to determine if you think it's a substantive change. Yeah, I don't know if this is, or I don't know if this is or if it isn't, but it doesn't.
I think that going from a C violation to a B violation would be a substantive.
You do.
Because you'd be increasing the penalties. And I think that you would then want a third hearing.
Do you think any increase in penalties would be a substantive change?
I think going from, right, because we have it as a class C violation. And if we would want to move it to another category, which would impose, right, a different set of numbers, fines, I think that would be a substantive change, yeah.
So the thing is, the reason why this is attached to the ORS violation is so that it increases with the state. It's easy for the officers to not have to write ordinance and then figure out what the bail is. It's again about efficiency, being able to write a ticket, keeping track of one number. They have a cheat sheet in their car and they look at it. Did you find it?
Yeah, Class A, I think is trying to have a difficult reading my own writing. I think it's 285 to 2,000 minimum to maximum with a presumptive fine of 440. And a B is, I think it's 135 to 265. You let me talk. Can I just say one thing? It's no critique. Given the fact that this is an emergency and there's a whole lot of things to be considered that people, I mean, you all are talking about them. Why not make the emergency ordinance fixed in time so that if you read the penalty section, you created a permanence to it. And I don't know how you rescind it. I mean, I guess
you just amend it.
What's that?
You can amend it.
Okay.
Yeah. But it would also follow, it would increase with the state as they increase the cost. Yeah, okay, but, I'm not opposed to changing that. If that's something you guys want to talk about, I don't think the sheriff, obviously, I'm afraid. I'm not hooked on I don't care about the bail, what it is. I just want to tie it to the ORS so that it's easier and it's.
I would prefer that it be in effect so that we can utilize it. And then if it works this year and or if we decide, this is not working, we need a higher bail or whatever, then you have all of next year to be able to adjust it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that, in your opinion, is it fair to say that if this does not pass, if this does pass, there will be more enforcement than if it doesn't pass. Based on the fact of everything you said about the crime, the district attorney's unwillingness to do it as a violation.
I believe that there will be more enforcement, yes.
So for this coming summer, your intention is this provides you, because that's what I thought.
Was to make everything easier and more efficient for the deputies so they're not tied up so long, so that I can in turn say, go do fireworks enforcement. That's the directive.
Okay. So you want the bails get it if you want to make that adjustment. So don't talk about that.
I'm more inclined to get it on the ground.
I am too.
Rather than, because we're sitting here now at the end of May, and if we have to do another public hearing, we're into the middle of June.
Yep.
It just becomes much more complicated. I appreciate the sheriffs saying, let's use the tool, let's evaluate the tool, because I think that's gonna tell us something as well. And I think it said on the Manzanita sign, 500 was the
That's
amount.
their fine.
Right, and so the amount, the top of this one is 500. So it's, we're in the ballpark with what others are doing in our community as well. So I'm comfortable moving it forward with the interest of having this tool in the toolbox for July 4th. Okay, is the top of this one 500?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
And we followed C violation with the minimum, maximum, and the presumptive, because we were running into issues where other ordinances that were getting cited that did not have a minimum or a maximum were just being reduced down to virtually nothing in justice court because there was no minimum or maximum.
These are the behind the scenes things that we're doing. We're putting guardrails. We have to go back. We're going to be changing a lot of our ordinances in our county park ordinances that have a flat fee to follow this, so that as it goes to justice court, there's guardrails on how low they can't just be reduced to $10 or.
And when like for parking, the fine is, I think, $180.
Yeah.
For parking violations. If they go to court, there's no minimum and there's no maximum. And so it just gets reduced down to $10. So if you park illegally in Cape Coanda and get a citation and go to justice court, found guilty, it'll be reduced to $10.
Yeah,
and so we're trying to put.
There are things we control and there are things that we don't. So we are
So
trying very hard to put control around those that we can, such as that.
And I think that we are with you on stopping this activity, the illegal activity. We are with you. We are trying to find it's a nuanced approach, I think, of we have to deal with other courts and other district attorneys, and we're trying to figure out how can we still send a message to the visitors and the people that are lighting off these dangerous illegal fireworks that go up in the sky and come down. What's our best way of doing it? This right now feels like the best way to do it, according to the sheriff who's in charge of enforcing it. So I'm fine moving forward with this as it is. So
Okay.
if you guys are both ready, then I'm ready for a motion.
So, Mr. Chair, I would, do we have this? We do. Mr. Chair, in consideration of ordinance 88 in the matter of adopting the Tillamook County Fireworks Ordinance and declaring an emergency, I move approval. I second.
We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Thank you all for your good discussion on this. I will call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Right. Thank you all.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the information and interest and taking part of this.
And we hope it's a continuing conversation.
We absolutely will continue this conversation and please keep the dialogue going between us.
We appreciate that. And your emergency management department.
Randy Thorpe, she's.
Well, whatever.
I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn this meeting. I will adjourn this meeting at 7:24. Thank you all.
I'm
So-
happy to talk to you about Randy.
Good. I was wondering if that was a place to go to, because I saw fire management as part of what.